Good morning, YouTube people. Thought I'd make a quick movie on, I don't know, how I store my wood, a little bit of wood. Some of the stuff is review of stuff I've had in the past, but it's wood season, so it's a good time to be doing the wood. I'll show you how I store a lot of my wood in some wood boxes. This is that tree in a few movies ago. Videos that came down back on the Jeeps, cutting that up, and that's probably bonfire wood. I might put it in the boiler when it's just got to take the temperature off a little bit and it doesn't need some wood. This is slab wood off the sawmill. This one here is actually pretty rotted wood. It's not much good. I take the some of the wood I store in these metal totes containers, and what I do is, when I get around to it, I just tie strings on them. I cut the tops in half, and then I put little slices up the side so they'll go over in case it's a little heavy. It also keeps moisture from building up inside there. If you don't do that, get a slice in there, maybe moisture would build up in there. That one there I haven't drilled. This one here I've drilled and put a couple little pieces of rope in. This one here I drilled but haven't got the rope in it yet. Here's one that's all done. Now what you see here is I got a knot on the inside, and this is just a quick pull, so you can pull it and undo it. But then this won't come out of here because I put a knot on the inside, and it just keeps them there ready for next year. Here's a couple that I've done, a couple that I haven't done. Here's a little pallet I made for them. After I take them off, I put them on the pallet and stack them all up. Just makes it a little handier. Here's some more that I've done. Now I label all my racks, and then I write them down when I split them and what kind of wood is it and the quality of the wood. Some of it's junk wood, some of it might be hickory, some of it's oak, but I try to label them and then write it down to what it is. How I stack them is I put them in to get a little more room out of the crate. I put these in the upright. Now this bar here is usually over one more rail, and I drill these and move these over. It doesn't take but a short period, but then it gives me a good place to rack them, and I get a little more in there. I try to keep the tops fairly flat so the lids fit on, like that one down there. Sometimes you mess up, sometimes you do good. It's just a goofy way that I do it. But those two will get covered probably today. I don't really care whether they get covered up till about a month before you can use it, or maybe 2 months before you can use it. So they've been sitting out for a while. Here's cleanup. Anybody who runs a wood splitter know there's a lot of cleanup. And I'll spread that on the paths in the woods that we drive around. So that'll be good. Here's some oddball stuff. I'll split that with, I'll probably use that splitter over there. I'll go over and show that again in a minute. The big pieces like that, I can't pick them up anymore. So I'll probably cut it in half and then slide it on the bucket. I'm going to make a movie on using a table. Stuff like this, that's the in cuts. Now I measure all my wood. I'll do a video. I'm going to try to get somebody to help me do a video so I can show while I'm doing it what I do. But there's a lot of those. See, here's an end cut off. There's an end cut off. There's an end cut off. And let's see, we got 1, 2, 3. There's a couple over there. I think I just showed that one. There's one right there. And what I do with those is I got what I call my chunks and hunks pile. These are some logs I brought out. They're getting ready to be cut. The first two here, this one and this one, are cherry. This one here, it might be a white oak. That thing didn't rot at all, no bark. That's what I call prime wood. You don't get logs like that out of the woods very often. As you can see in the end, there's no rot, and I'm almost positive that that's a white oak. Almost positive. Rain last night, so a little bit of water still running. These are how I started. Before before there were such things as totes around, or maybe before I even heard of them, I used to make these wood racks and hold the wood, and each one of those holds about half a cord. So I know exactly where I'm at. So I got, you know, 2.5 cords there. I had been making bigger wood racks, which some people have seen them in the past, in past videos. You can see them going all the way up through there, and the plastic over the top. And what I do is I have it come down over here, and it acts like a solar heater, and it just heats that stuff up and dries it out. That's been there for a couple years now, so it's ready to go. Generally I'll split wood, and I found that from weighing it pretty consistently, oak will do about 75% of its drying in the first 4 months, and from there on out it's kind of slow go. Here's again how I stack these pieces up, and then I can hold I don't know, another, whatever the distance between here is. Most of my wood's cut between 16 and 18 pieces long, 18 inches long I mean. But then I'll make it so it's flat across here, and then those things will go on it. This crate here is going to be the cherry wood over there, because like I said, I label them and put down when I split them. You can see the hole here where this used to be over here. Same on the other side. And that's all I do is take them out and drill them and put them in. If I ever wanted to stack them, I think you need a little bit more surface area. It also makes them a little more rigid. Now different people cut these down different ways. Some people I guess probably don't even cut them. I found it best to cut them down 1, 2, 3 rails off. And you really got to measure your wood, because when you get into a situation where you don't measure your wood, if you get a couple of them that are too long, next thing you know you're getting a front and back issue. But if you cut them too short, then it's like this one here, you lose space in their issue. So that's one of the reasons I measure my wood. But once again, this works out real good for getting an extra, I don't know how many cubic feet out of one of these racks. And these racks are pretty nice, but I like my wood ones better. The wood ones are just, they hold a little bit more. They're heavier to move around. These are the racks that I generally put my slab wood off the sawmill. I haven't sawed too much in a long time, so I don't have much wood. Here's the other end of that big tree. That's the one I want to demonstrate how I measure and cut. And one like this won't go through, all 3 of these here will not go through a wood processor. I had the Dana 14 up here, and that's what I did. I got a movie of it, I just haven't posted it. That's what I did that wood there with. And you know, ones like this, you'd have to, well, the first big one is too big, it won't go through that machine anyway. The second one toward the end is getting a little bit big. Those 2 are cherry, but they're so twisty and crooked that, and then you got like this knot here, which I don't know if it'll show up on the film right there. That knot, that wouldn't go through. Then you get down to this broke off limb, and then the trash at the end. By the time you sit there or stand there or whatever you do to get there and cut these up to where it'll go through the processor, you might as well just cut the daggone things up. And that was one of the reasons that I didn't buy the processor, that I didn't think it was going to overall save me that much work. Okay, when I have a pile like this, which is what I did, and if you have a processor or conveyor, you know, the bottom line is sooner or later you're going to have to pick that stuff up and either stack it, or I guess I could use that bucket there and pick it up and dump it next to my boiler. But that doesn't work on the system I got. Here it takes a little bit longer, but I split it, then put it right in a crate, and then I don't have to touch it again. If I run it through the splitter, okay, that's about 5 or 6 hours of splitting with that Dana. And now I still got to stack it. So, you know, you figure 15-20 minutes a crate for stacking it, and that's going to add up. This is my chunks and hunks box, and as it fills up, then I'll put another, you can see the boards on it, I'll put another board on here and then another board on there, and then as I take it, I'll take the whole crate up to the boiler and set it out there, and then I'll use that first to just get rid of that. And that stuff burns real good. For some reason, chunks and hunks are pretty good burners. But anyhow, there's the wood splitter that I'll break down the big stuff with. I'll break it down into quarters. I just broke down a bunch last week. We made that, I don't know, half dozen years ago or so, and that thing is pretty powerful. It splits some stuff. But I just kind of wanted to show how I do the wood racks and the different wood racks available. I found, like I said, the best ones are those wood ones over there. I like those the best. The second best is the metal totes. They work well. But these I can figure, okay, I got a half cord on down the road, which does work well. More cleanup under the. Did you see all the debris I had under the wood splitter? About every 2 or 3 cords, you just got to do cleanup. That's all the way. It just gets into your. Look at this. I keep telling everybody about a table. This is a table. I got to do another movie. We got one movie where we were dumping it on, but the table was the other direction. The table works for me better in this situation, in this direction. We took this splitter down to a buddy of mine, and we were punching some wood through really fast. The splitter's capable, I'm guessing, well, I know I've done 2 cords an hour with it. The stroke on it is 5 seconds, so it's out in 3 and back in 2 when I'm running full speed. But I don't even run full speed anymore. That's just a little bit too fast for me. The other splitter, I go around. You guys are getting seasick. The other splitter there, that's the one in the past I've hooked up to the. I tack into the backhoe outlet for that little dozer. Guy's getting some dirt brought in next door. This is pretty good. Used to be run, I crunched that with a forks. Used to have the engine sitting right there, and it was a 4-cylinder Jeep gas engine. You couldn't afford to fuel the thing. They like gas when you compare it to the diesels. There's, I don't know if you can see it, neighbor getting another load of dirt. He's filling in some stuff. But I got sidetracked, which I do easy because I'm goofy. I just hooked that big splitter into this machine here because it's got backhoe outlets on it, and just run it that way. And that thing I just run a little bit over idle in it, and it does a good job. But anyhow, the crates, these are the best. You know, I have a sawmill, so all this stuff is pretty available, but those bottom crates were just pallets that I got. I don't really recommend the pallets. They're temporary. The ones that I've made now, I used 4x4s down at the bottom down here, and all treated wood. And being the pack rat cheap person I am, up until this year, when the different school systems were tearing out their portables, you go into the contractors and you go, hey, what are you going to do with that stuff? And most of the time, I never found a time the contractors wouldn't be more than happy for you to take all you want, because they're having to pay to get rid of it. And I just brought tons and tons and tons of pressure treated home and Trex home. And I know one day I pulled 86 8-foot 4x4s pressure treated that had only been up 2 years, but it's not worth them to reuse them. So that stuff's all available. I guess he's dumping dirt. Here's the other end of going up that trail. I had a water belly in there, so I just had to siphon some water out. Tomato plants, trying to hide them from the deer. That's all this is. Anyhow, that's it for this movie here today. We'll see you. Over and out. Bye.